Dr. Walker, Mr. McChesney, Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Womack, Mr. Bowen, Ms. Copeland-Wood, Dr. Speaks, Mr. Redovian, all those opposed. Ms. Roberts, all 9 board members voting. And again, if you can communicate that in writing to Mr. Turk and copy to Ms. Tyson so there's no misunderstanding for those board members participating. Yes, we have item 4 that I need. Who has a motion to read relating to descriptor code DFBA? Is there a motion? There should be a motion for someone to read.
Which one?
No, not regard. No, no. Someone should have a motion.
We already done that.
No, we have not. We're getting. I promise you.
Thank you. You're right. After I make this motion, will there be clarification as we discussed?
Yes, we can have. You can go ahead and move to the podium if you're going to answer any questions on this. Whoever's going to answer questions from
All right.
Sutherland in anticipation of questions. Okay, if you can make the motion, and then we'll have a second, and then we'll have discussion.
All right. I will make the motion, but I want to make sure that we get the discussion and what we discussed. The amendment. I make a motion to amend the bylaws and policies of withholding funds in descriptor code DFBA. It is recommended that the Board of Education amend policy DFBA to eliminate provisions that are not part of the TSA plan itself and are not otherwise required by law.
Okay, second, please. Second. Now we're at discussion. Should I take a stab at summarizing what we did, or would you like to do that, Ms. O'Brien?
Whatever pleases you. I would like to note that the motion statement has not been read yet. It is at the bottom of the page. It has moved that.
Okay, can you read that, please?
It is moved that the proposed revisions to the board policy DFBA withholding of funds be submitted to the board for first reading with adoption to be requested at the June board meeting. And I would be happy to make the summation if you want me to.
Sure.
As it turns out, in discussing this policy, we find that there is a part of the policy that states that we have to give a, is it a 2-year,
A 2-year notice before
2-year
suspending
notice
contributions.
before we can actually do this, which we did not do when we did it last year. So the board discussed that information and realized that that was something that we were going against our board policy. We as the board decided that if we're going to change this policy for next year, the day before we're going to, or as we do a vote on a budget, it would not be fair to those employees that did not have the board of policy approved. So we as a board have agreed that we will find a way to return that money as soon as we possibly can to last year's TSA. And so therefore, by eliminating this year, as we just approved in the board, as part of this budget, the employees will not be hit with 2 years of losing the TSA benefits. So we will take away, if we change this policy, the need to, and obviously we've already done it, we've already
We
voted, so in reality we will have to do that to be able to take it away for next year, but we will have to give it back because we didn't do that properly last year. Does that make sense? Does that cover it?
And if I could just clarify, the plan documents and law did not require the notice. That was a board policy item. However, but because that policy item was there and we did not address it last year, simply because we weren't aware of the need to address, because there could have been a waiver last year, a number of ways that could have been handled, the policy could have been handled, and the TSA from the 09-10 year been properly addressed. We didn't waive it, and so the board is saying we'll correct it to address prospectively so that we can do it correctly. Again, it's still within the law, still within the plan documents, but we want to make it consistent with our policy. However, because we want to reflect the fact to prior employees that the policy was there, we did not waive it or take other action, or we didn't expressly waive it, and we took other action. We want to, separate from this motion, of course, because this is going to be related to the policy, wish to replace the funds for the 09-10 year TSA.
The problem being right now is that we have to find a way to get the funds to make that replacement. And it may not be immediately, it may not be until next budget year, but we will replace those funds. So employees will only, once again, as we had promised, lose 1 year of the TSA at this point.
Okay. Any other clarifications?
Yes, that applies to the employees who are members of TRS. There was never any suspension of contributions for employees who are not members of TRS.
Thank you for that clarification. Does everyone understand this? There's nothing to vote on today, if I'm correct. It will just...
Vote to submit it for first reading.
Okay.
You've got a motion to that effect.
Okay.
The motion's on the table.
Okay, the motion's on the table to submit this as first reading. We'll have to come back in June and actually vote